Hello and welcome to House Building Digest series number 10, which is on water supply to the house. Through this digest series, BMTPC is reaching out to the common man to provide useful information about various essential activities involved in house construction, including technical and non-technical matters associated with building materials and construction technologies. Every individual has a dream of owning a house, and through this series, we will slowly unravel myths and misconceptions about building construction. The language used here is simple so that it is understood by one and all. Safe drinking water is linked closely to the well-being of human life. In India, primary sources of drinking water include surface water or groundwater, which are tapped to supply water in rural areas and urban areas. Mainly, central and state governments provide quality water in adequate quantity to the people of the country. The quality of water being supplied for domestic purposes is also a cause of great concern. Water gets contaminated sometimes by different physical impurities, agriculture and industrial waste, and underground chemicals and minerals. This leads to sometimes waterborne diseases, especially among the lower income groups of the society. Regular testing of water quality and using an appropriate water purification system is therefore essential for supplying quality water. Water quality is the physical, chemical, and biological characteristics of water. The most common standards used to assess water quality relate to drinking water, safety of human contact, and health of ecosystems. Taking care of various factors influencing water quality is very important, as the human health is largely dependent on the quality of water available for use. Let's discuss first water supply in urban areas. In urban areas, the municipal corporation or municipalities and urban local bodies are responsible for providing public water supply system. It includes collection of water from source of supply, giving necessary treatment to water for making it hygienically safe and potable, and finally distributing water through a network of piping works, which includes trunk mains, street mains, etc. Water from a street main is supplied to the individual buildings through service connections. Within the building, the water is distributed to different fixtures through pipes which run through the surface or are concealed in walls or below the flooring. Water for domestic purposes is required for drinking, bathing, washing of clothes, cleaning of house and utensils, flushing of toilets, etc. However, the water requirement varies from place to place depending upon the geoclimatic conditions, living habits, etc. In any case, some standards have to be resorted to so as to have adequate quantity of water for the household to carry out their daily domestic chores. It is generally assumed that the requirement of water per day per capita is 135 liters, that is 135 liters per day per capita. Accordingly, for a family of 6 persons, the water requirement per day would be 135 multiplied by 6, which will be equal to 810 liters. There are two distinct types of systems most commonly used for water supply to a house, starting from service mains. One is direct system, another one is indirect system. Indirect system, also known as upward distribution system, water is given to various floors in a building directly from the mains with sufficient pressure to feed all the floors and up to the highest point of the building. Whereas in indirect system, also known as downtake supply or downfall distribution system, the water from mains has to be drawn either by feeding water directly into overhead water storage tank provided at the roof of the building, from where the water is supplied to different floors by gravity, or feeding the water into a underground water storage tank, from where water is then pumped to overhead storage tank, from where the water is supplied by gravity. Water supply in a building could be continuous or it could be intermittent. Normally, the local body plans distribution of water in different city zones in shifts. Thus, provision is made in a building to ensure availability of water during non-supply hours. Typical water storage tank on the roof is shown on right hand side. A proper plumbing system is provided to supply water in the house as also to drain out the wastewater. It is a good idea to understand how the plumbing works in the house. Plumbing is a term which is most commonly used in relation to water supply, sanitary and drainage provisions in a house. For the purpose of basic understanding, plumbing is a general term which broadly includes systems, materials, fittings and fixtures used in the building. The plumbing system broadly includes the following: the entire system of water supply and distribution pipes, including fittings and fixtures like taps, valves, tanks used in connection with water supply, entire system of sanitary drainage, including fittings, fixtures like wash basins, sinks, water closets, urinals, traps, soil pipes, waste pipes, vent pipes, septic tanks, sewers, etc. Entire system of stormwater drainage is also including its collection and carrying of rainwater from roofs, paved areas and ground surface in a public stormwater drain or to a pond or river, etc. In this digest, plumbing related to water supply only has been dealt with. Sewerage will be dealt in the next digest. It is always advisable for the prospective house owner to get acquainted with the method of supplying water into the house from the service mains of the municipal corporation or municipality which run along the street. It would help in understanding the provisions of water supply during the construction process as also the measures required during subsequent maintenance. To start with, it should be understood that the pipe extending from service main to the water meter in the house is known as service pipe as shown in this picture, whereas the pipes within the consumer premises are known as supply pipes. For providing water in the house, a hole is drilled in the service pipe and a brass ferrule is screwed in a watertight box. The size of ferrule is dependent upon the size of service pipe. A 40 to 50 centimeter long flexible curved pipe, also termed as gooseneck, is usually inserted between the ferrule and service pipe. A stopcock is normally used or inserted in the service pipe between the ferrule and the service pipe leading to water meter. The connection from the service pipe to the water meter is known as service connection. The service connection is provided by the local authority, whereas the homeowner has to provide the water supply pipes, fittings, fixtures within the house. When water enters the house via the service connection, typically the water supply is split with one line going to sump or overhead tank in the house and the other directly to the floors. For the house, the main supply lines are typically 1 inch to a quarter inch, 3 by 4 inch in diameter. The lines that branch off to individual fixtures are usually 1.5 inch in diameter. These diameters are only illustrative and can vary from with the actual design of a plumbing system. The work for the system should ideally be done by a licensed trained plumber. Now let's understand different types of pipes. Lead plumbing was an established practice in earlier times. However, it is replaced by galvanized iron water pipes which are attached with threaded pipe fittings. For the purpose of high durability, brass pipes and fittings are also being used, although they involve higher costs. Plastic supply pipes have become PVC or UPVC pipes have become increasingly common since 1970 with a variety of materials and fittings employed. However, plastic water pipes do not keep water as clean as copper and brass pipe does unless the joints are properly provided and sealed. Presently, there are a number of types of pipes which can be used for providing water within your house. The commonly used water pipes are cast iron pipes, steel pipes, galvanized iron or GI pipes, copper pipes, and PVC pipes. Cast iron pipes are extensively used in water distribution mains as they are comparatively cheaper in cost, highly resistant to corrosion, and have a long life. Steel pipes are used in water mains in situations where water is subjected to very high pressure and diameter required is large. These pipes are stronger and lighter in weight as compared with your CI pipes. Galvanized pipes are wrought iron pipes provided with zinc coating. They are most commonly used for water supply works inside the building. Copper pipes are generally used for hot water supply installations in the house. PVC pipes are being used increasingly nowadays for supply of cold water for external and internal plumbing works. They are light in weight, non-corrosive, lower in cost, and do not require any threading or connections. Fittings and fixtures and appliances are essential features in a domestic water supply system. The house owner should have a basic knowledge of these to understand these utilities as also their performance. Let's see fittings. Fittings are very important components of water supply system. They are used at different places in a supply system to provide the desired flow of water as well as facilitating maintenance. Fittings are used in plumbing system to connect the pipes to adapt to different sizes or shapes of pipes in the system, as also to facilitate and regulate the flow of water therein. The materials for fittings are often same or are more often of the same base material as that of pipe, depending upon the requirements of the system. However, at times the two different materials may be used, like brass bodied fittings in copper pipes. The most common fittings used in the system will be explained now for the information of prospective house owners. First is elbow. An elbow is a fitting installed between two lengths of pipe where a change in direction of flow is required, which is usually 90 degrees or 45 degrees, or as the case may be. Another thing is T. A T is used to either split the flow of water in two directions or to combine them. Most of the T's have the same inlet and outlet diameters. However, reducing T's are also available, which may be installed if need be. A cap or plug is a type of fitting which is used to cover the end of pipe. Valves. A valve is a type of fitting which commonly used for controlling the flow of water along a pipeline. With the introduction of the valve, it is possible to isolate any section of a pipeline for inspections, repairs, etc. Following types of valves are commonly used in building for domestic water supply: globe valve, gate valve, and float valve. Let's discuss them one by one. A globe valve is most commonly used valve for manually controlling or closing the flow of water in domestic water supply. They are also used for controlling flow of water to wash basins, shower, kitchen sinks, etc. Gate valve is used to control water flow or for completely stopping the flow of water in a pipeline. Gate valve is commonly used to control flow of water from your storage tank. A float valve is used to supply water to a storage tank or flushing system and to automatically shut off the supply when the predetermined level of water has been reached. Taps are provided at the end of the pipeline to draw off the water. A tap is also known as bibcock. A variant of a bibcock is the stopcock, which is used for controlling or stopping the flow of water in a particular section of a pipeline. A fixture is a device in a water supply system for delivering and draining away water to enable a particular use. The most common water supply fixtures include kitchen sinks, utility sinks, bathtubs, and showers. Appliances are gadgets which run on water and help in carrying out daily chores. These are geysers, washing machines, etc. In most of the cities in the country having a population of more than 10 lakhs, water is distributed each day for a few hours only. The supply is given through large overhead tank or OHT as shown in this figure. This also helps in regulating the water supply to the individual houses. When piped water supply is not available for individual houses, community taps are provided in the colony, and people store water in large utensils. On the other hand, where piped water supply uh, is where piped water supply is available for individual house, people adopt alternate means of storage. In such cases, it has become a common practice to have storage tanks in the houses in the form of a sump at the ground level or an overhead tank on the terrace, or a combination of both. The storage tank in the house can be made from brick masonry or GI sheet, ferro cement, PVC, or RCC, etc. Nowadays, storage tanks of different materials and sizes are available in the market, which can be stored readily. The capacity of overhead tank or OHT at the terrace and or of some depends on number of users in the building, uh, frequency and duration of supply of municipal water, etc. The capacity of both storage tank has to be decided with great care in order to have sufficient water supply in the house on a continuing basis. Generally, the capacity of some is kept less, around 50% or so of the capacity of OHT. These capacities should be decided in consultation with architect, engineer, and plumbing professionals. Having decided upon the capacity of OHT at the terrace and the sump, a booster pump for pumping the water from sump to the OHT has to be installed. The horsepower of booster pump should be enough to lift the water up to the inlet level of your OHT. If the house is more than a single story, it is common practice to provide a single diameter pipe for lifting water from the sump to the OHT. It is, however, advisable to reduce the pipe diameters at higher floors. Similarly, the dia of the downtake pipe from OHT to different floors should be maximum for the top floor and gradually reduced to each floor below. This ensures uniform water pressures at each floor. Depending upon the requirements of the client, separate pipelines can be provided for WC, bath, and separate for kitchens. There are different gadgets available nowadays which gives an alarm as and when OHT or slump pump is getting emptied. This is of immense convenience for the house owner, as otherwise the house owner has to continuously check the levels of water in the sump or OHT. Now let's discuss contamination of water. The quality of water available to the house owner should be potable water, meaning thereby it should be suitable for drinking, pleasant to the taste, and usable for domestic purposes. Basically, it should not be contaminated, as contaminated water leads to ill health of the residents of the house. Drinking contaminated water is harmful to the human body and leads to various diseases like diarrhea, jaundice, typhoid, etc. Contamination of water can take place in a number of ways. Water can get contaminated at the level of water supply lines, or at the main, or at the level of domestic lines laid within the house. At the domestic level, contamination may be due to intermittent supply, leakage in underground pipes, and improper storage in the house. Faulty joints, walls, and corroded pipes are also sources of contamination. Water supply lines placed in the vicinity of sewage drains, sewage, and manholes increase the chances of water getting contaminated. Removing contamination in the water supply mains is the responsibility of the local authority supplying the water. However, contamination of water within the house has to be taken care by the house owners themselves. The services of a licensed or experienced plumber should be arranged to remove the causes of contamination within the house. Water testing. Water needs testing if it smells foul. The taste gets changed, becomes blackish, gets colored, mud or such other materials come along with the flow, etc. It is advisable to test the water at certain intervals or as and when it is felt that water is getting contaminated. Presently, some kits are also available which help in testing the domestic water supply. Water samples can also be sent to authorized testing labs who would advise further in this regard. Steps for making the water potable should be taken accordingly. If no other alternatives are available, the simplest way of improving the quality of water is to boil the same, allow it to cool, enabling the impurities to settle, and then use the same. However, it is advisable that the root cause of contamination should be removed to make water potable. Clean drinking water is a basic necessity of life, be it in urban area or in a rural area. Now let's discuss water supply in a rural area. Supply of clean drinking water in the rural area has always been one of the highest priorities of central government and state governments. In the past, a number of schemes and missions have been launched to enable access to drinking water in rural areas. Providing access to water to individual households in rural areas requires a different approach than that of urban areas. Piped water supply is available only in a limited number of villages. Accordingly, the source of water supply in rural area is primarily a village pond, flow from an aquifer, that is groundwater, wells, hand pumps, etc. Potability of water has always been a cause of concern from such sources. Where water is scarce or where individuals cannot afford to have a water point within their premises, water is provided through community hand pumps, community taps, etc. In desert, water is supplied in far-flung areas through tankers. Groundwater is the water located beneath the ground surface or an aquifer, which it can yield a usable quantity of water. In plain areas, this water is available below the natural ground level. This water can be tapped in a variety of ways, namely digging a well, installing a hand pump, etc. In hilly areas, water starts seeping out at different locations and can be a source of supply for the village or the individual. The supply can be regulated by installation of pipe, etc. Now let's discuss wells. Water wells is an excavation of or structure created in the ground by digging, driving, boring, or drilling to access groundwater in underground aquifers. The water can be drawn by an electric pump, hand pump, or buckets. At times, the ground may contain impurities, including minerals, and accordingly, it has to be treated before use. Dug wells are most common in rural areas and are a source of water supply for drinking and other purposes. It is advisable to line the wells with stones, bricks, etc., depending upon local practices. Hand dug walls provide a cheap and low-tech solution for having access to groundwater in rural locations. Such wells are cheap as they mostly use unskilled labor for its construction. Hand dug wells have low operational and maintenance costs. Driven wells are made by driving a hole into the ground at a point where water is available below the ground level and then driving a pipe, preferably having screens. Water is drawn out of pipe with the help of pump. Drilled wells can be made by simple hand drilling methods or machine drilling. Drilled wells can get water from a much deeper levels than your dug wells. Such wells have electric pumps for lifting water and are currently used at many places, typically in rural or sparsely populated areas. They can be shallow or deep in nature, depending upon the depth at which water is available below the ground level. Hand pumps, as you can see here, are widely used both in rural as well as urban areas for lifting the water for drinking and other purposes. Many different types of hand pumps are available in the market, and house owners can select the same as per their requirements. The height to which a hand pump could lift water is governed by the ability of the pump and the operation to lift the weight of water in the delivery pipe. Typically, suction pumps can lift water up to 7 meters, low lift pumps and direct action pumps up to 15 meters, intermediate lift pumps up to 25 meters. High lift pumps can lift water more than 45 meters below the ground level. At last, let me tell you that water has become a scarce commodity and is no longer a free gift of nature. Accordingly, it is essential that the plumbing system for water supply should be installed properly with great care such that water is available to the house owner in the right quantity and time for carrying out domestic chores. The system should be such that leakages therein are rare. Any leakage would not only waste water but would also lead to contamination. It is also the responsibility of the house owner to consume water with care and not to leave the taps open after the chores have been performed. This is all about House Building Digest number 10, and I sincerely hope that it will be helpful for creating awareness about the water supply to the house. The House Building Digest can be downloaded from our website www.bmtpc.org. The next topic which will be covered is sanitary and drainage. Thank you very much.